Hey, struggling to sell high ticket care plans without sounding pushy or salesy? In this video, you'll learn how to confidently present and close higher value functional medicine programs by setting expectations early, leading with outcomes, and serving, not selling your patients. Stick around because I'll also share the simple shift that took me from no shows and price objections to patients who were fully committed, even before I even mentioned the price. So I'm Dr. Zac Watkins, and after 15 plus years of selling functional medicine care plans in a cash-based practice, I've refined a heart-centered, honest way to help patients say yes to transformation and actually follow through.
What's going on? Hey, nice to see you. Nice to hear from you. It is Friday and I had to not attend last Friday. I apologize. I was under the weather. But I'll spare you the gory details. But my hope was to kind of come through different topics each Friday, not to take a lot of time, but kind of cover some things I'm learning that I'm hearing from people that may need some more explanation. So not necessarily case studies or anything. I have a few more that I think I'll be doing, and I'll post them either separately or doing maybe my Tuesday time. But quickly, I sent out a message and people were asking a little bit about sales. And I do work with a lot of these are chiropractors, and this applies to everybody. But a lot of the questions was, okay, how do you now merge this kind of sales component into maybe my current practice? Because I think we all know and agree that functional medicine and the testing we use and the supplementation and the consults are going to be cash based, not really insurance. And so if you still have an insurance based practice or still have insurance, what's the best way to sell, getting your patients to make changes and to kind of commit to a program? So I made a document that I sent to a couple people. And if you are interested, we can find this. Let me know and I can shoot it over to you. No problem. I'm going to move this out of my way. Okay. So just some thoughts on high ticket functional medicine sales. High ticket means higher dollar level. I think you'll come to know from me. Now, I have my opinions on a lot of this stuff. So the things that you learn and hear from me are obviously my opinion based off my experience. This may not resonate with you, and that's okay. I think that's what makes us all unique and different, and how we get attracted and like-minded, or attracted to people who are like-minded and who we resonate with, if that makes sense, like mentors and things like that. So this is what worked for me, and honestly, in my practice, I experimented with different modes of selling and working with patients to get them committed to our programs. This worked the best for me, and I didn't change it over 12 years. Higher ticket meaning we're not overcharging. That's different. We are bundling services together. So if I felt like they needed, and this goes back to the story I tell about, the woman who came to us or came to me for Hashimoto's and sorry, hypothyroidism, and she was looking for basically the supplement support, just for that. She thought that was one visit. I tell her what to do. She goes away. Everybody's happy. Well, I know, and you probably know too, that there's always probably more digging to do, more deep down information to see. And she wasn't expecting that. So when she saw the price, she was taken back. And it wasn't really the price per se, like it was a lot of money, because even back then it wasn't really that, given the standards, it wasn't really that much of an investment. I think it just took her by surprise, and people don't like be taken for surprise. It feels like bait and switch, like you got me in here. There's some programs that teach talking to your patients for either free or really cheap, and then you promote this big all-inclusive $8,000 to $10,000 program. I don't agree with that either. I think people turned off for that, and it's harder for you, the provider, to talk to them about that, to explain and show the benefits of doing that whole program. So I didn't like that either. So once I experienced that with that woman, I genuinely wanted to help, and it came from the heart, and I felt bad because it was my fault. I didn't, not that I was purposeful, it's just I didn't set the expectations for her, which is my job. Therefore, she felt taken advantage of a little bit, hopeless, and I never saw her again. So I feel kind of bad even to this day. So this is where we decided, look, I'm going to be open and honest with patients, and this is where we're going to get into. Let me make a note really quick.
Hey, real quick, if you're listening to this and thinking, I need some help building out something like this in my own practice, well, just scroll down and click the first link in the description. You can book a free strategy call with myself or my team, and we're going to take a look at what you are doing now, where you're stuck, and show you exactly how to build a customized care plan that works for both your patients and your business. All right, back to the video.
So this is where we bundled stuff, and I was like, patients, hey, I'm gonna be open and honest with you. This lab, I did labs to start. I'm like, this is not the end all be all evaluation for everything we're looking at. This is more like trying to get a glimpse of the landscape, where are we at? Because I think in most people's minds, patients, and I'm not trying to talk down to patients like they're lesser. I just think they're consumers just like us. Sometimes they don't know what they're expecting, and that's our job to explain it clearly. So, like, their minds is supplements are just like medicines. It's a natural, which I don't even know what that means anymore, and which is completely not true. Most medications are anti-biochemical process, like anti-inflammatories, anti-cholesterol, anti-anxiety, all that stuff. They're blocking pathways in the body, which upstream cause other physiological effects, that kind of thing. Even serotonin reuptake inhibitors, those kind of things. So that it's different with not all, but different with basic nutrition, supplementation and things like that. When you look at, I always tell patients, like, look at the Krebs cycle, how your body makes energy. It needs things like B vitamins and minerals and things to run efficiently. And if you're not getting that due to, let's say, excess stress in your life, excess demand, these water soluble vitamins are used up quickly and you get rid of them. So we use maybe these supplementations during stressful periods. Mental, emotional, maybe dietary is a stress. And that's how we use nutrition. So you have to get that framework different. That's why I say frame here. Get the framework different with patients and what to expect. We use supplementation, and it's not a quick one and done thing. We're rebuilding. And the labs kind of give us a baseline where to start. So if you use blood work, if you use hormone testing, if you use GI gut testing, I always recommend people, whatever you start with, finish with it. So follow up. It's not good to say, and I see this a lot, and I can understand why, but let's say we start with a GI test to look at their gut. It tells us lots of stuff that we got to work on. You send them away on a program, and patients are like, yeah, I think I feel better, and they're feeling a lot better. Maybe they lose weight and all that stuff. And our mistake is, okay, I think you're fine. We don't need to recheck. One, I found that patients want to know. They do want to know if they're getting better. Maybe they don't bring it up, but they do want to know. It shows them you care. Plus, it's just good practice to follow up, especially with blood work. We follow up blood work all the time. But even GI testing, for instance, I always would do maybe no less than really, for sure, 3 or 4 months. Especially if there's something big going on, like if there's blood loss or if there's bad, like parasite infections, things that we want to make progress on. So whatever we do, you always got to just make sure you tell that to patients. You just sit back instead of getting caught up in the whole like high ticket sales. How do I talk? Objections, all these things that I know are out there. Just close your eyes and be like, look, I believe in this. Like, this is how I live my life. How would I want someone to explain this to me? And just explain it that way, honestly. Mrs. Jones, this is good information. This is telling me where we need to go. This is a starting point because we're going to put together a plan for you, some diet, and you're going to do some lifestyle things, and we're going to check in because we want to make sure you're on the right path. I always told patients it's like you're on a boat in the ocean. We want to make sure we're still going north and we're not kind of drifting west or something like that. Just lay that out there. So here's some things I kind of put together. I sent to a couple people. How to confidently sell and close high ticket sales. Closing is like, can you get them to pay you money? So let's just go through some of these. Step one, we call it pre-frame the value. So kind of what I'm saying, you're explaining why what we do is different, how it's better. We know it's better because I think ultimately that's what patients want. I don't care how sick they are. It mentally and intuitively makes sense that you want to do things from a preventative standpoint. Now, what makes it difficult is the work you can put into it. Of course I want to prevent diabetes. Who wants diabetes? But can I make changes to let go of maybe the sugar intake and stuff? That's harder. So clearly explaining that why we're different. Use relatable, just simple language. Don't get into medical jargon. I have worked with medical providers that I think they're just used to that, talking in high level, deeper words, kind of get overwhelming, confusing. I know patients don't like that because I've gotten feedback from that. So just use simple, like I always talk to patients, like I would explain to them, hey, I have to use analogies like a 6-year-old because that's how I think. And they laugh because it's true. I understand things when I can explain it in more simple terms. And I think they respect that and they like that. So keep it simple, preventative. It's like we want to keep you out of trouble. We don't want to like deal with you're in trouble and try to get out. It's easier to stay out of trouble. I always say, make sure you talk about your programs as an investment. You don't say how much does it cost, or I know this is expensive, because I think people's definition of expensive is all like dependent upon their situations and what their mind perceives as expensive. I think a $1,200 iPhone is the dumbest thing in the world. It's ridiculous, but we all do it. Why? We need a phone. We want to communicate. It's how we get business done and work and all that kind of stuff. So is this expensive? Yeah, but we value it, so we pay for it. Obviously, there's payment plans and all that kind of stuff that they offer. The same thing with your health, right? This is not an expense. Expense is usually you're kind of blowing your money and giving away. Like I go to a movie and blow it. You're investing. Why? You're putting money, resources, time, energy into your health. That's an investment because you're going to get a great return. So always position it that way. It doesn't matter if you're talking $300, you're talking $3,000, $10,000. You're investing, and people will invest in that. I think people who view things that way, that's the kind of ideal. Getting back to the ideal client, that's the kind of people you want. Ideal patients is they view their health as an investment, and it doesn't mean they're perfect. It just means that it's top of mind and it's an investment for them. It's not an expense. They don't kind of complain and moan. They're willing to put in the work. Okay, step 2, lead with outcomes, not features. So we don't want to talk about our programs and like we don't explain, well, I do homocysteine and free and total thyroid levels and antibodies, and I do this and I do this. Patients are going to care. You think they do, like the more I used to do this too. This is again from experience. I would write out every single lab in our lab panel. So instead of comprehensive metabolic panel, if you guys are familiar with that, like it comes with the protein markers and the minerals. No, I write out albumin, sodium, potassium, chloride, as much as I could, because I was like, well, the more I write out, the better it looks. And that does kind of make sense. But at the same time, especially with blood work, that's like almost probably a bad example because they would just take that sheet and go to their primary care and say, hey, I want all this stuff. And most of the time, the primary care would not order it because it's a lot of testing. But that's another thing you got to get past with and help patients understand. Like, because I remember conversations and even providers have told me now, like, well, gosh, like, well, what's a ferritin? Why do I need that? And what's this? Like, they get too caught up in the markers and the numbers, even though that stuff's important. You want to work on like, look, we're here to get the right information to fix your energy. We want to find the things why your weight is stalled. And these markers tell me where the places are you're being stuck. Pain. Many reasons you can have pain. I got to look at these different markers to tell me where the problem is so we can get you out of pain. Really focus on the outcome they're looking for. And I kind of mentioned that already. Yeah, so mirror their language when you're consulting with them or talking with them. When it says mirror their language, you want to basically acknowledge what they're saying and highlight that, right? Like, I'm just so exhausted, I'm tired. And you can be like, yeah, I understand. Maybe if you have the labs in front of you, like, yeah, I can see that right here. Look at these markers. It tells me you're exhausted and tired. You're just acknowledging, you're not lying and trying to kind of be sneaky. You're acknowledging how they feel. We like to be acknowledged. Like if you have a spouse, you like it when your spouse acknowledges how you feel, to kind of validate you and all that kind of stuff. So acknowledge that. I think from a medical, like just a typical medicine rate, medicine approach, basically. Someone says, yeah, I'm tired, I'm exhausted. Provider's probably like, okay, fine, let's do some labs. Fair enough, problem. We want to be empathetic. We want to know where they're at. We want to feel like we're in their shoes. They need to know that. Patients want to be heard and understood. Once they're understood, then they will take more action.
Facts.
Simplify the offer. So when we talk about offer, I usually mean it's like, what is your initial, like, what do you bring to the market? And I think you can say this initially a couple ways. You can say, what's your initial offer? Like, my initial offer is a 60-minute nutritional consultation period. Or you could say the offering that we have is going to be identifying root cause illness through testing. We're going to put together a customized, personalized plan, and we're going to guide and adjust based off of our feedback and labs. You know what I mean? So it's like, I think depending on what you want to do, that's what we say your offer. Simplify it, meaning what can patients expect? Yes, the outcome of decreased pain, more energy, all that stuff. But how do we get to that? And look, when I see my patients, they're coming into me, we're going to get to the root cause of why they feel what they feel like. We're going to identify the problems. From that, we're going to create a personalized plan using nutrition, supplementation, lifestyle, and we're going to guide and support you along the way to get you out of pain. Just something so they understand, oh, you are offering me this thing with these steps to get to where I want to go. Okay. And the offer like I said, can be different. If you're just starting out, sometimes the offer is just, what are you initially telling patients right away? So that you can almost have two offers, right? That's the big offer, but maybe you want to tell your patients, look, we're offering, we have a initial consultative nutrition appointment where we're going to cover these 3 things. You're going to leave with some action steps, which may roll into, let's say, your programs or plans or whatever it is. All it is your market has to know like what it is that you have to give them. And you can start simple at first. You can get comprehensive and large. Like for me, our offer was 3-month personalized programs using lifestyle, nutrition, coaching, dietary changes with very detailed support and kind of hand holding with community. And, that's kind of like our 3-month program. And then it's like, well, how do I get started? Great. We need to evaluate first and have a conversation in your consult to see if it's the right fit and what steps to take next. So as long as your patients understand that. All right. So like, let me handle the let me think about it stuff. You're going to get a lot of that. And of course, everybody does. I do all the time. This is where you're trying to handle objections. Like, okay, what's holding you back from starting? The longer we wait, the longer you stay stuck. I think that's a little snarky, but sometimes my experience, men like a little snarkiness. They don't act like it, but I think when you're snarky with them, they kind of like, okay, I get it. Many times I've had men come to me and say that they would never go to any doctor, nutrition, functional medicine, but they commented to say like the way you diffuse the conversation with us, the way you handled my objections is what sold me on you. So I think men, it's okay to be a little, you got to read them a little bit, women and men. How do they converse with you? Do you need to be more soft? Like, Mrs. Jones, I understand. I know this is a commitment. You say you need to think about it. Tell me more what you need to think about. Is it the investment? Is it the time? Are you overwhelmed? Honestly, a lot of times they're going to say it just seems overwhelming, or I don't have enough time. I think it can be money. Most of the time it's not, honestly. Most people will find a way to pay for what they want, which is why you may offer sale or financing options like care credits or pay simple. There's ways to work on that. So credit cards, patient could get started today for $100. So you can even tell them, look, if you got started today and you're only paying like $100 a month, you could still get started. Is that something you can do? Well, yeah, I could, but maybe I just don't want to pay it in the end. I mean, there's all these things you got to walk through. It's not, again, trying to belittle them or like some people do. Why don't you go to your grandma and take a loan, all that kind of stuff. It's just like, if they're giving you an objection, it probably means they just still are not sold yet mentally. And a lot of it may be them. So when they say, let me think about it, or I got to talk to my spouse, which may be legitimate, just be like, I sense some concerns with you. Tell me what that is so I can learn to help you more. Is it a lot to do? Is it lack of time? Is it fear of failure? And then whatever that is, you just walk through it. Pretend it's your own spouse or your parent. Walk them through it. And if they literally say it's a money thing, then you can work that out with your team. But don't be afraid when people give you an objection, especially this one, because I don't think there's anything to think about. They came to you for answers. So now why are they thinking about it? It's like, I don't know. I don't get that. So you got to figure out what the real reason is. Okay. So that's helpful. Social proof. You can share stories. Like, let's say you're talking about patients who are objectives, giving you objections to get started. Or just in your consults when you're like talking, let's say you start to see other people with gut health problems. Use those stories to say, oh, you know what, you remind me of a patient we had that was struggling with Crohn's disease, lots of blood loss, lots of issues. And we did this through this process, and this is where we got. And I know you feel that you fit in that same boat. You remind me just of him. He hadn't put a lot of work into it, but he went to the other providers, got nowhere, and we could help him. So that's something you can reach out and just kind of pull back other stories. You want to be authentic, right? And relatable. You don't want to go into like made up stories. If you have good stories, share that with them because it gives them hope that someone in their shoes got better. And so can they. Okay. So close with confidence, meaning closing, getting them to move forward. If you're selling, basically taking money in your office, then this would apply to you. We always had an office manager. I'm a big kind of believer more so in the providers do the provider thing, and you have people who do more like the sales and the management. But if you're smaller, or if you're just virtual, maybe this is right for you. Again, they always say selling is serving. It sounds cheesy, but it's true. I'm not a big like into the sales scripts and hard sell them. And I've worked with some people like that. We've had them. It's uncomfortable to me, and you gave us a bad reputation. So, just guide them with certainty and leadership. Meaning, like, look, Mrs. Jones. I always use Mrs. Jones. I don't know why. I think she's popular. Look, Mrs. Jones. I understand your concerns. I understand it's an investment. There's a lot going on. I am here to support you. I'm here to walk you through. Me and my team. We want to see you be successful. Anytime that you feel like it's overwhelming or you're off track, you need to let us know because we want to see you be successful. Okay. Are you ready to let's just get started. We're taking steps. The more you put it off, the more you're not going to get started, and you're going to be back here in another month anyway, which actually happens a lot. So just be confident. If you know you can help them, which if you have a good team and a good process, and if they're willing to put in the commitment, they can't just lay back and do nothing or else they won't get anywhere. acknowledge that you're committed. You're here to look for answers. Always say you're in the right place. You're in the right place. I feel you. I know where you've been. Um, this is the process I want to see you do. I'm with you. I'm in your corner. Okay. So we need to get started so we can get you going on maybe this dietary change or these, whatever lab results we saw. Okay. So it's confidence. It's being a leader. It's showing the example of other people you've seen. It's handling objections. That when I say handle that, think of it as you're going to get objections. No one's going to be like, okay, I mean, that does happen, but most of the time, someone's going to give you some kind of objection and expect that. But that is not really a no. That is more of like their natural defense mechanisms. Okay. Simplify what you're offering your patients, especially if you niche down specifically what you do, and just say, this is how we do it. We help women 35 to 45 beat the burnout and fatigue and help them live a more confident, fulfilling life. And we do that through really identifying the root cause of their symptoms. We put together a personalized plan for you, but we're going to adjust you along the way, and then we take about 3 months, whatever that is. I hope you get my just from that. Leading with the outcomes, not just all the stuff that you provide. It sounds good, but I think patients don't care about that. And really just, again, try to explain why we're different. It's not that we're alternative. Functional nutritional medicine to me is not alternative. I hate that term. Medicine to me is alternative because that's like the last resort, ideally. So try to think of it that way as this is why we're different, but we use you with different goggles. We look at you in a different way, all inclusive, so just be authentic and honest. And in my experience, I always loved working with patients because it actually fueled me up personally. I'd have a weekend or a week when I was just down and out, frustrated, or if we went away on a trip and I was just frustrated and scared and thinking about the vision of business and life, I get a little anxious. I have an anxiety. And the thing that really helped me is getting in front of my patients, especially the new ones, because I like to hear their story, where they've been, see how they're struggling, because I knew we could help. And when I knew I could help, that confidence translated over to the patient. And that's when the tears come, and that's when the smiling comes. And even if they did not commit that day, I knew that I planted a seed that was good. And that was my job, right? My job wasn't to take their money. My job was to say, I have a solution. It's going to be up to you if you want to take the next steps. Here's how you can do it. Here's the investment. It's going to be work. It's going to be hard. So decide if you're going to do the work. If you can't do the work, don't commit. Be wasted time and money. So I just laid out. I would tell people, look, if you're not ready, don't commit. Come back later. And be okay with that. It's confidence, because if you're not going to do the work, you're not going to get better. Okay. So that's kind of my feedback on kind of the high ticket sales. So these are things to think about. If you have questions, let me know. Put them in the chat. Email me, Zac@drzacwatkins.com. And selling is serving. Always remember that. Okay. I am thinking about next week, I'll probably get into a little bit of, which is different, but I like it. It's quarterly planning. Don't hold me to it, but I might do it. Quarterly planning, like in our business. Do we have a year business plan, goals, and have we reverse engineered to get back to say, are we on track? Are we off track? And it's the close of the first quarter. So do we have a plan for the second quarter? Maybe if we haven't implemented functional medicine yet, do it now. Figure out what your next goals are so you can be done in the next 3 months. And it can be simple goals. Get your offer laid out, get your lab set up, identify who your ideal client or patient is, and start, talking to 5 patients. Something simple, because if you're trying to implement functional medicine into your current practice, or if you're, chiropractor and you're trying to find other means to add to the practice that doesn't burn you out, stuff like that, you got to start. And I know it's hard and uncomfortable, which sucks, but you got to do it. It's like falling forward. You got to get that momentum. to make changes. So I hope this is helpful. Message me if you have any questions, and I hope everybody has a great weekend or week. Bye.
Hey, before you go, make sure to hit that subscribe button so you never miss a video. If you like this one, you're definitely going to like the next video. So click here on the screen, keep going, and I'll see you over there.